because you got to start building those confidence early. And also, especially with June, this is more of a June thing right now, where, you know, she's like, you know, something, she'll say, I can't a lot, or I can't do this because I'm tired, or something like that. So I try to discourage that line of thinking and be like, well, how can you? You say you can't do it, how can you do it? And have her work through it. So a lot of times in parenting young kids, a lot of parents will just want to give the kids the answers and try to act as more of like an answer giver. I try to help them figure it out. So if they have a problem, I'll sit there with them and talk to, this is more of a 5-year-old discussion, but talk to them about how they could potentially achieve what they wanted to achieve. Whether it's the iPad's broken, the toy doesn't work, and I'll sit there and challenge them to try to work through the problem themselves, so that they can start to build some self-reliance and curiosity and problem-solving skills. Also, one of the most important things that you could teach your kids, in my opinion, prior to 7 years old, is empathy. The ability to empathize with others. Because if they can't empathize with others, then they're going to be probably terrible adults. And they're just going to be me, and they're going to struggle with relationships. They're going to struggle with personal and professional relationships. And so you need to be able to empathize with what other people are thinking, feeling, and going through. And I mean, that's really important. And if you listen to child psychologists, they'll agree. So, I mean, the little kid stage is pretty easy. I mean, you just got to play with them, show them lots of love, always tell them that you love them, even when they're bad. I mean, that's that's a little game that June and I play right now, and when she's being bad, she'll be like, "You still love me when I have poop on my face?" Like, because that's her word for being bad, and I'm like, "Yep, I still love you when you have poop on your face, but I don't want you to." And oh, look who's trying to join. Frida's trying to join. I haven't talked to Frida in a while. That's right, you have to teach them while they're young. Yeah, I haven't gone along with Frida in a long time, and I see her on here, so let's just bring her on here. I just obviously banned someone for being very toxic. Man, shit, I kind of trimmed up my neck. Obviously, skin got a little irritated about it. Happy Father's Time. A star party? I don't have stars on my page. My page has been reported far too much for me to get stars. Apparently so. Rita, you're not being added. I'll get a haircut next week. I don't really think about it too much. First time you caught my live in a while, it's probably because they're not giving notifications. They really are reporting my page like crazy. I don't really care because I'm not trying to be famous. But it is what it is, you know? Anyways, Frida, it's not adding you. Please let me know if you should have a medical license. They've been saying I've lost my license now for 2 years. Still practicing. Still have my license. They're just going to spread propaganda. I mean, these people are just, I mean, for them, it's like they don't have a job, you know? So their entire mission in life is to talk crap about me because it makes them money, because people will come and watch, both from like, yeah, go get them, girl, and the people that are also supporting me. So it's it's nasty business. But I'm collecting all the evidence. I'm just going to they're gonna be paying me lots of money sometime in the near future. But for now, I'll just let them keep talking. Anyways, so Frida, this is not working. So we'll just, while that's potentially adding, let's talk about education. Education is a hot topic when it comes to kids. Those of you guys that aren't aware, I actually have a degree in education. Sorry, my nose itches. I was going to be a high school teacher, so I studied. I could say you could say part of my expertise is in education. And interesting enough, what people don't understand about the educational system in the United States is the system right now is geared. It was created after the need to prepare soldiers for war. So it was instituted to kind of create a very strict and rigid environment to prepare people to be soldiers. Because this is during the World Wars, and a lot of young men, once they reached of age, they needed to be prepared to go to war. So it's very rigid. So my ideas of education are much different than most. The standard model of education is you get good grades, you get into a good school, and then that's going to prepare you for success. And sometimes that's true, and a lot of times that's not. Getting good grades on tests has no, it is no way a guarantee that you're going to be successful in life. I mean, you need to be able to learn and apply knowledge to the real world in order to be successful, especially if you want to be raised, especially if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, like you're running your own business. It doesn't matter if you went to Harvard, it doesn't matter what your grades are. If you can't apply what you learn in a book or from your professors into real life situations for a favorable outcome, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. And successful is a measuring stick, right? You could be ultra mega successful, mildly successful. There's all these, but in order to be as most successful as you possibly can, you really have to be able to apply knowledge and apply it to the real world. And unfortunately, schools don't do a great job of teaching that. I can remember in chiropractic school, it was just like, okay, so it was just memorization. And the way you had to study for the tests didn't really transfer into long-term knowledge. You had to study, almost like cram it into your brain, just enough to recognize the same word choices on a test so that you could get the right answer. And then, you go out and party or whatever that night before, get super drunk, and then you forget everything that you just learned. So I'll give you a little bit of a funny little lesson. So I knew this. I had a degree in education. I was already in chiropractic school. I didn't care about grades. I just cared about being the best version of a chiropractor that I am. So what did I do? I would get straight A's on midterms, because basically your grades were divided into mostly midterms and then finals. So what did I do? I would study really hard for midterms and get straight A's, like 95% or better on a test. And then finals, you would have 10 tests over 5 days. So you'd have all your final curriculum tests in 5 days, and you didn't really have time to study for them that much because you were constantly in class, and there was always stuff that you had to be doing. So what did I do? I'd walk into a final test knowing statistically I couldn't fail a class because I had a 95% in the class. So I would take that Scantron, which those of you guys that don't know what a Scantron is, the Scantron is, little bubbles A, B, C, D, E that you fill out. And I would just do the roller coaster, A, B, C, D, E, and then back up, D, C, B, A. And I would just go up and down and finish my test in 5 minutes or less. And my professors all knew, but after a couple years of doing this, my professors all knew what I was doing. So, I still learned that information. It wasn't like I wasn't studying for the tests. I just didn't care about the grade. So, pretty much statistically, if you do that, you'd be shocked. Most of the time, you can get 50% of the test, and then you pass the class. So what's the metric of that? As far as how this relates to my kids, is I graduated chiropractic school with less than a 3.0, and I was the top of my class. Not only that, 3 months after I graduated, I was asked to come teach at the school in the Sports Masters program. So if it was based off of grades, 80% of my class would have got that job before me. But it wasn't based off grades. It was based off of performance, what you could do with patience, what you could do, what you could accomplish, what you could actually do with your hands and with your mind, which grades do not reflect that. So I'm going to encourage my kids to get good grades through high school, and then once they figure out what they want to do, I'll teach them these lessons. Stop picking your nose. My nose itches, okay? It's a normal human experience. So that's kind of my ideas on education. On relationships, I've been thinking about this a lot the last 2 years, especially with what I've experienced. And as young girls, how do girls get into toxic relationships? Like, usually, from what I've seen from my own experience in watching other people, girls usually get themselves into relationships that don't last, or they become toxic because their intentions are not pure. They are in the relation, and this is the female side of things. They're in the relationship for what the man can provide. Whether it's a green card, whether it's money, whether it's connections, whether it's fame, they get into relationships because they feel like they need more resources to be more comfortable, to be protected. And so therefore I'm like, well, how do I prevent my daughters from having that mindset? And the way I'm going to do that is by making sure that they have everything they need. So I think I'm going to be paying my daughters rent until they're married, honestly. And the second that they're married, it's up to that man to support them. But as far as like you're 18, time for you to take care of yourself and figure it out and that kind of thing, I'm not going to do that to girls. I would do that to boys for sure, because that's how the world's going to look at them. Men are pretty much useless unless they provide resources, protect and provide. And that very much is my experience, and that's very much what social media has shown me. Nobody gives a shit about men as far as their feelings and that kind of stuff. So, or just anything. So if I was raising boys, this would be significantly different. But since I'm raising girls, I'm going to make sure that they never need a thing, so that they don't pick partners based on needs of resources, essentially. So if they want to, they can live with me until they're married if they want to. They could, but if they're out in college, I'm going to make sure that they don't have student loans. I'm going to make sure that they're not paying for rent. So they can focus on whatever the hell they need to do. But I'm also going to teach them the value of hard work. I'm not trying to spoil them. They're going to know that they need to work hard. And so I'm going to expose them to that as well. But that's what my current mindset is, at least. But yeah, no, I plan on supporting my girls all the way up until the day they're married. And then it's their husband's responsibility. So that they pick a man that's going to provide and support for them like I do.